Hello everyone. I haven't made a video in a while, in a couple of weeks. I've been busy with the holidays, and so now they're over and I'm kind of glad. I hope you all had a great holiday as well, and whatever you celebrate. And now that the new year is beginning, I am going to make a lot more videos, and much more frequently. Not only astrology videos, but also about all types of spirituality as well, including interviews. So I'm really excited about this. And yeah, so you should tune in, like, and subscribe if you're so inclined, okay? So today's video, it's how to read a chart, and this is based on Jaimini principles. And this is kind of a simple little method you can use to see the avenues of life that somebody is focusing on out of the 12 different types of avenues based on the signs and houses. And this is specifically written in Jaimini's first chapter and the third part of that chapter. So yeah, so you can do this kind of this technique. The first part of it is a snapshot technique, where you can pick up some things very quickly about a person's life just by glancing at the chart. And then you can calculate a few things, or writing it down or in your notes. That will give you a little more insight according to these Jaimini principles, okay? So yeah, let's get started then. Okay, so focal houses. This is what Jaimini says about when you look at a chart, you want to look for these things to see where a person is focusing their life on. And it has to do with the Ascendant Lord and the AtmaCarica. And you look for these things in the Rashi or the birth chart. The Rashi and the birth chart are the same thing. Sometimes I just say the Sanskrit word because I'm used to it, but it's the same thing, okay? Now, the first principle is the house that the Ascendant Lord is in, and the houses that the Ascendant Lord is Rashi aspecting, not planetary aspecting, but Rashi aspecting, okay? Those two areas of life are going to play a major role. The house the Ascendant Lord occupies, and the houses that he is aspecting. Now, I use the Campana system, so I do not use equal sign, equal house, like a lot of Vedic astrologers do. But I look at the house cusps placed in the sign. Sometimes sometimes a sign will not have a house cusp, and sometimes a sign will have 2 or more house cusps. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at if the Ascendant Lord is aspecting house cusps. Those houses will play a major role in the person's life and what they focus on, more or less, okay? Now, the second principle, any planets in the Ascendant or aspecting the Ascendant. This will also be a very important part of life. The Ascendant is the path we're on. So any planets in the Ascendant or aspecting the Ascendant will give the natural inclinations of those planets, as well as a focus on the houses those planets rule. Okay, that's the second principle. The third is the AtmaCarica. It's the same thing, but this time with the AtmaCarica. The AtmaCarica placed in a house, that will also be a highly focused area of life, and any houses the AtmaCarica is aspecting with Rashi aspects or sign aspects, not planetary aspects, okay? And the fourth one are house lords joining the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, and the Ascendant Lord, and house lords Rashi aspecting the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord. So you look for these 4 things, and you're going to see several different houses, focuses of life coming up. And those are the areas of life the person tends to focus on. And that's the path they're walking down. That's the path their body is moving towards. The Rashi or the birth chart is the body, and where our body goes determines what kind of life we have, right? So you look for a lot of the details of what kind of things happen in the divisional charts, or the Vargas as they call them. But in the Rashi, you look at the general path of life, okay? So now going on to some specific things Jaimini says, okay, about certain houses. Certain houses, Jaimini mentions, that tend to give certain results, okay? And these are extremely accurate, I have found, personally, doing probably over 1,000 charts in my lifetime easily. And so I'll give you the information for that, okay? So this is in Rashi Sutras, or Jaimini Sutras, Upadesha Sutras. And this is the first chapter. These are sutras 37 through 41, if you're curious, okay? And so the first one is, let's see, okay. The AtmaCarica, or the Ascendant Lord, standing in, that means occupying, or aspecting the 3rd house cusp or the 6th house cusp. That gives a person intelligence, okay? In addition to that, the 3rd or 6th Lord joined the AtmaCarica, or joined the Ascendant Lord, or aspecting either the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, that also gives intelligence. So if there are 2 of those things or 3 of those things, you look for those things and you start to add them up. This is where you need to go into your notes, because the more you see of these, the more intelligent the person is. Okay, now in addition to that, the 5th occupied by the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, or the 5th Lord aspecting or joined the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, or the Ascendant Lord and the AtmaCarica aspecting the 5th. That also gives intelligence. Now, the 5th is easy to understand why it would give intelligence, because the 5th house is it's creative intelligence. That's what it is, the intelligence to create. And Jaimini really likes that. Now, the 3rd, why would you think the 3rd and 6th? Well, the 3rd house is Upadhyayas, or initiatory instructions. And those are all the things we learn in school, like grammar and math and that kind of thing. But also, the 3rd is a house of effort and small obstacles that we go through, and also kind of competition. So we're being tested by the 3rd house. And when you're tested, you have to develop your intelligence to meet with those challenges in life. Same with the 6th house. The 6th house is delays and major obstacles and things like that. When you have to deal with those things, and it's also enemies. When you deal with enemies or major obstacles, delays, you use your intelligence. It develops that intelligence to overcome those things. So that's why Jaimini talks about those 3 houses. And this is the first sutra, meaning it's the most important. So Jaimini thought that intelligence was one of the main things that people had to have a good life. That was his #1 priority, or because you see unintelligent people a lot, and they their lives are filled with a lot of chaotic elements. The more intelligent someone is, they can see how they can have a good life and what obstacles they need to overcome to have a good life. So that's why he lists intelligence as the very first one. Okay, the second one has to do with happiness. After intelligence, Jaimini thinks that being happy is also the product of having a good, productive life. Now, he specifically talks about the 4th house. In the 4th, aspecting the 4th, the Lord possessing or aspecting, that means the Lord of the 4th house cusp joined the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord. Okay, that person is happy. That's what Jaimini says, and happiness is something the person focuses on, and also the fourth is, you know, your home life and your emotional state. So if you are a fairly content person and you concentrate on your contentment, then you will also have a good, productive life or an enjoyable life. Okay. Now these are two more on the so-called negative or challenging aspect of it, okay? The next sutra says, in the eighth, aspecting the eighth, the eighth lord abiding or aspecting, which means the eighth lord can join the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, poor and roving. Now, the eighth house is a very mysterious, problematic house. It causes major changes in life and huge major breaks. A person who has their Ascendant Lord or their AtmaCarica in the eighth tend to be people who have had a lot of different life experiences in different places. They move a lot. A lot of things change majorly in their life. And also the eighth house rules astrology and the occult and things like that. And so usually when someone has their identity factors like their AtmaCarica or their Ascendant Lord in the eighth, or the eighth lord joined those two planets, or what is it? Oh, I just kind of spaced out there for a minute, sorry. The eighth lord in the Ascendant too. If the eighth lord's in the Ascendant, then the person has a lot of breaks in life, so they don't have the consistency to build up wealth, and that's why he says poor. Okay, now if a person is involved in astrology or the occult, then that satisfies that eighth house requirement, so they usually don't have as many breaks, and they're not poor. They usually will excel very well in those eighth house endeavors, which are astrology, the occult. Also, the eighth house rules corporations, so if the person works for a corporation, they can kind of avoid all that poor and roving that Jaimini talks about. Okay, now the next sutra is for the 12th house. The 12th occupied, the 12th lord occupying, the 12th lord aspecting the AK or the Lagna Lord, which is the Ascendant Lord, habitual spending. So all those things, all of those aspects, the joining, the AtmaCarica, the Ascendant Lord in the 12th, or the AtmaCarica in the 12th, or those two planets aspecting the 12th, or the 12th in the Ascendant, that's going to cause the person to spend a lot. Now, if they spend more than they have, that really depends on how strong the 12th house is, the dignity of the planet in the 12th house, that kind of thing. But they tend to be big spenders. They can't hold on to money or save money. And Jaimini doesn't really like that too much, because when we're spending all our money, you know, life can be, you know, I actually know someone who has this, and he habitually spends when he has money, and then he's broke for another, I don't know, like a month or so, and until he has enough money again, and then he goes out and buys, you know, several luxury items, and it's just, you know, a lot of people will say, what is going on with this person? They don't learn from their, you know, from not having any money to having a lot of money, and no, they have this this aspect in their chart, so it shows that habitual spending. Okay, now the last one is the Lord aspecting or on very strong mighty, and what that means is the Ascendant Lord aspecting the Ascendant or in the Ascendant. That makes a person, that gives a person a strong, robust body, even a very good looking body. Now when we have a strong body, we have robust health, or we have a good-looking body, life gets a lot easier automatically. That's just the way it is. It's, you know, I guess it isn't fair, but, you know, people who have better health or are better looking tend to have an easier time of it in life when they want to, okay? Or just generally. But those are the things that Jaimini talks about. As those are the houses that he brings out. So if you want to go look and see how many intelligence points you get, you can follow how the AtmaCarica or the Ascendant Lord, if they're joined with the 3rd, 6th, or 5th, in the 3rd, 6th, or 5th, or aspecting the 3rd, 6th, or 5th, and you have to count all or tally those up to see the intelligence of someone. The more intelligent a person is, the better life they're going to have. And then the second one is the happiness factor, which I mentioned. And then the next two in the 8th or the 12th house, that takes away from happiness because of being poor and roving, or the person can be an astrologer and occultist. And in the 12th house, they have habitual spending. Now, if they're wealthy and spend a lot of money, then you can also see that as well, and it won't be as detrimental. But if they're not wealthy, then the person tends to have major up and downs in their life because of their money situation and their spending habits. And the very last one is about the body and the appearance. So yeah, that's the Jaimini formula for looking at certain houses and what they do and where the person focuses their life on. Okay, and the next video I make, I'm going to be making a lot more videos more frequently, but the next one is going to be how to read a chart on Parashara techniques. And the Parashara techniques are if you're going to see if a person's path is Dharma or Dharmic path, if they have a moksha path or enlightenment path, or an artha wealth path, or a kama desire path. That's also going to show you a lot about where a person puts their energy and what kind of path they're leading. Okay, and that's going to be either tomorrow or the next day. And stay tuned. If you like this video, please press the like button, and if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe. Thank you.